Hello, students. I am going to explain to you the poem The Patriot. And this poem has been written by Robert Browning. And this poem deals with the a part of the life story of a patriot or a national hero. This patriot remembers that when he had come back to his homeland a year ago, he was welcomed with flowers. But exactly 1 year after his arrival, he faces brickbats or he faces stones at the hands of the same people who had welcomed him with flowers. And this change in his fate is something that he is not able to accept easily. He doesn't understand what is the reason behind this change in behavior. He doesn't understand that what heinous crime did he commit which makes people feel that he should be put to death. So, this poem shows that the love and affection showered by the public on a hero or a public figure is not permanent. Public adulation, public memory is short lived. People do not remember their heroes forever. If today somebody is a hero and an important person for them, tomorrow they may not be the same. Tomorrow their heroes may change. Also, a person, a celebrity who has praise and glory cannot be sure that this will last forever. If today people are showering them with praise and glory, tomorrow they may not. These things are not permanent in life. That is what this poem reminds us. Nothing is permanent in life, nothing is certain in life. We cannot believe that everything is permanent. Today, if we are happy, it's not necessary that tomorrow things will remain the same. Things change. Every moment, things change, and this poem is a reminder of that. But though the poem deals with love and hatred, it also ends on a optimistic note, and this optimism is provided by none other than the poet himself. The poet's personal belief was that if there is God in heaven, then definitely everything's right in the world. He believed that if God exists, then he would never allow anything wrong to happen in this world with people who are just. And the same belief has been highlighted at the end of the poem in the words of the patriot. The patriot has expressed at the end of the poem that he believes that it is God who will render him justice, who will reward him according to his merit. So let us now go into the poem and see what is written there. Now, this poem, The Patriot, has been written as a dramatic monologue. A dramatic monologue means a character who tells his or her story to the audience, but the audience is passive. This poem has been written as a melodrama. A melodrama means a piece of literary work that begins with love and gradually turns into suspense and fear. Here in this poem, the first two stanzas deal with love, public love for the patriot. But from the third stanza onwards, we see that the elements of suspense and fear slowly creep into the words of the patriot. The patriot slowly expresses or changes his tone from love to suspense and fear. He expresses his suspense and fear. From the third stanza onwards till towards the end of the poem, we see the same thing, the suspense of what is going to happen, and then the fear that arose in the heart of the patriot. But at the end of the poem, in the last stanza of the poem, we see that the patriot is optimistic. So let us begin the poem. It was roses, roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. So the patriot says that people had spread roses on the path on which he was supposed to walk. Along with the roses, there was also myrtle. And this myrtle is a wild flower, white in color, but here we see that roses, especially red roses mixed with white flowers, are of symbolic significance. They are examples of symbolism. Red roses symbolize love, affection, adoration. On the other hand, myrtle, being white, it represents respect. The people expressed their love and respect for the patriot without using words through these symbols by spreading white and red flowers on the path on which he was supposed to walk. The people have expressed their love and respect for the patriot for what he has done for them. The house roofs seemed to heave and sway. The church spires flamed. Such flags they had a year ago on this very day. So people had gathered not just on the sides of the streets but on the rooftops to have a glimpse of their hero, of their patriot. And there were so many people on the rooftops that it seemed as if the roofs are bending under the weight of the people, and the roofs were trying their best to lift the people, keep them in their places. That is why the words heave and sway are mentioned. Sway, yes, the it seemed as if the roofs are swaying with the people who were swaying, expressing their love. They were shouting cheers, words of cheers for the patriot. Maybe they were screaming out his name. They were screaming, crying out words of praises for the patriot. Also, the people had put flames, or you can say flags, of orange colors on the top of the churches. Now, the churches, if we see, they have the exterior of the churches, the roof from the outside, from the exterior, it has pointed structures. Churches are built like that. On those pointed structures or the spires, the conical structures, people had put flags of orange color, and these flags, when they fluttered in the wind, it seemed as if flames are burning, flames again to honor the patriot. And all these things had happened in the life of the patriot exactly a year ago. That is why here it is written, a year ago on this very day. Exactly the same day, 1 year ago, this is how the patriot had been welcomed by the people. The air broke into a mist with bells. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. So, even the air was full or saturated with the sound of bells. The people were ringing the bells also to express their happiness, their joy at the return of the patriot, because the patriot had done something great for them. And the old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. The crowd was cheering out, screaming out praises of the patriot. And even the structures around in the place, the walls rocked, that means they shivered, expressing the same emotions like the people. Had I said, good folk mere noise ripples, but give me your son from yonder skies. They had answered, and afterward, what else? So the patriot here says that on the day he was welcomed, people were so crazy about him that if he had asked them that, my dear good people, mere noise repels, that means simply singing or screaming out words of praise for me is not enough. But give me your son from yonder sky. So the patriot is saying that if on that day he would have asked the people that do something impossible for me, like bringing the sun from the sky, the people would have answered. And afterward, what else? So this shows that the people were so mad and crazy and affectionate towards the patriot that day that they would have done anything, any impossible thing for the patriot. Whatever he would have asked for, they would have done it. And then they wouldn't have stopped at that. They would have asked him, now what next should we do for you? That was the level of adulation that the public was showering on the patriot that day. But as we proceed to the third stanza, we see a little bit of disappointment. The patriot expresses. He says, Allah, it was I who leaped at the sun to give it my loving friends to keep. He says he would have asked the people to do something impossible, but actually, the sad truth is that he was the one who did the impossible task for his countrymen, for his fellow citizens. He had leaped at the sun. That means he was the one who did something impossible for his countrymen. He was the one who brought this victory or triumph for his motherland. Not man could do, have I left undone. And you see my harvest, what I reap? This very day, now a year is run. He then says that not everyone could have done the thing that he did for his countrymen, for his fellow citizens. He was the only one who was capable of bringing this victory or this great achievement for his country. And if he had left this task incomplete, then there was nobody else in his country who could have done it. So he was the only one who could have done this, and because of which, no doubt, the people loved and adored him, but they did not repay him back in a good way. He says, you see my harvest, what I reap this very day. Now a year is run. So he says, now exactly 1 year after what I brought for my fellow citizens. Now, after a year, this is how I have been rewarded. This is my harvest. That means this is my reward. This is what I have got. So this uh, creates suspense in the minds of the readers, in the minds of the audience, about what is going to happen next with the patriot. In the fourth stanza, he says, there's nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the windows set. For the best of the sight is, all allow, at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the very scaffold's foot I trow. So he says that now, in the present time, exactly after 1 year of his arrival, he is again on the streets. But today, there are no people on the rooftops to have a glimpse of him. He can only see a few palsied or diseased people sitting at their windows and looking out at him. These people are palsied or disabled, but not in the physical sense, but in the mental sense. These people are those who cannot make up their mind, who are uncertain about how to react, whether to support the patriot or whether to believe in the fact that he has done something wrong. These people don't know whether they should join the rest of the crowd, the rest of the public, and take the patriot to the gallows or the shambles gate. So the Patriot tells us that today only these few people, those who don't have an opinion of their own, those who are not certain about how to react, only such people are at home. But the rest of them are. Best of the sight is, that means the rest of the people are gathered at the shambles gate, because today for them that is the best place from where they can have a look at the patriot. And then he says, better yet, by the very scaffold's foot. Now, scaffold is the raised platform on which a person is publicly executed or hanged to death. And that is what is mentioned here. Foot means all around that raised platform people have gathered so that they can have a glimpse or have a good view of the patriot being executed. Next stanza is the disappointment, the fear that he has in his mind. He says, I go in the rain, and more than needs, a rope cuts both my wrists behind. And I think by the field my forehead bleeds, for they fling, whoever has a mind, stones at me for my years' misdeeds. So the patriot says that the day he was being taken to be executed, that day it was raining, and this rain is hiding his tears. He is crying because he cannot accept the fact that the very people who loved and adored him have found him to be wrong, have found him to be misfit, and they are hating him so much that they want him to be tried, to be executed. Also, these people have humiliated him. Though those ones, the very ones who had showered flowers on him, those very people now have got the patriot tied up. His hands are tied behind his back. The ropes that are tying his hands at the wrists, they are so tight that he feels as if the rope is cutting through his skin. Also, he feels that his forehead is bleeding. He's not sure because it's already raining and rainwater is has drenched him. The rainwater is falling from his head downwards, and people are also throwing stones at him. Stones have hit his forehead, but he doesn't know for sure whether the stones that hit him in his on his forehead have made it bleed, or is it the water, rainwater, that is falling down his head. And the patriot also says that it is not just anybody in the public who is throwing stones at him. He strongly believes that particularly a certain set of people are the ones who are throwing stones at him. These certain set of people might be his competitors, might be other people who want exactly the same amount of public love and adulation, but find that the patriot has become more popular than them. It is as much possible that it is those people who are jealous of his success, who are jealous of his popularity, and they may have conspired to present a negative image of the patriot in front of the public, because of which the public is now hating him and want him to be executed. So, in the fifth stanza, the last line says that they're throwing stones at me for my years' misdeeds. That 1 year after his arrival, the patriot says that Maybe I have done something wrong, my misdeeds, the illegal acts or crimes, according to the people, whatever crime he has committed, that has made the people believe that the patriot should be tried, convicted, and executed. That is what the public has done to him. Now, in the last stanza, the patriot says, "Thus I entered and thus I go." So he's saying, "This is how I came and this is how I am being sent away. This is how I am going away." In triumphs, people have dropped down dead. So he says that in triumphs, that means in victories or success, especially in wars. If a war is won, if a victory is had after a war, it also calls for sacrifice. So he is sacrificing himself for the sake of the victory or the reward that he has brought for his fellow citizens. Paid by the world, what dost thou owe? So he says, this is how the world has paid me for what I did for them. But do I owe them anything? Do I have to have an obligation towards them? Me, God might question. Now instead, this God shall repay. I am safer so. So the patriot says that now I look towards God, and God might ask me, do you expect something from me? To which the patriot is saying that he would say that yes, he doesn't trust the world anymore, but he definitely trusts God. He believes that God will definitely repay him or shall reward him, will render him justice. The justice that was denied to him by the people on the earth will definitely be given to him by God in heaven. And he feels that he'll be safer with God in heaven. Now, this line is definitely uh, an example of optimism, but here we also see this line as an example of irony. We people are alive in this world, and every day we pray to God to keep us safe. But the patriot says that he'll be safe in heaven after his death, not in this world, but in the other world. This is the irony. On one hand, we people pray to God every day. We are alive and we pray that God protect us, God keep us safe. But the patriot is saying that he is not safe as long as he is alive because people don't trust him, don't believe in it anymore. He believes only after his death his soul will be safe. Where? With God in heaven. He says he will be safer there, and only after his death, God will render him justice. God will bring him justice. He will deal with the people who had done him wrong.